The purpose of this presentation is to show you step by step how to put together the 8-foot measurement device that was created by Kendall Optometry Ministry. This is the first slide. Here is the box. Slide number 1. This is with the box open, and here are boxes of different elements that are part of the measurement device. This right here is what is called the chin rest, and on the chin rest you see a left and right camera, and these are the different boxes. Here's some further instructions on how to assemble the device. Here is with the items removed from the top of the box, so you can see further into the box as to what it contains. This is the little device that holds the autorefractor. This is the pan zoom control device that's on a platform. Here's a bar that is the chin rest sits on. Now the next thing that you do, you take this bar and you fold it out like you see here. You want to have these larger part of this T right here outward, away from the rest of the settings. And here is the chin bump pushed into these little elbows so that it will stand up. Now this is the pan zoom device right here. There's a strap across it to keep the platform from moving around inside the shipping box and get damaged. Here it is. I'm turning it around slightly, and right here is where it's oriented properly. Now you see these little wheels. These wheels here need to be on this track as you see here. So you move them over to the track, and then you slide it up against the side of these the chin rest. Now this is the vertical view of that plate turned the right way. Now when it's slid up against the chin rest, of course you'll see it right here, you're going to need to put these clamps on the chin rest to hold it down. This bar has to be held down with these clamps. So you slide the clamps in like this, and then you screw them in from below until it's tight. It's clamping the bar to the table to hold this chin rest up stable. Now here is where I'm putting the other one in place. Again, I roll it up. There's a little knob that you see right down here, and I roll it up and clamp it to this bar. And here, of course, I've moved the platform forward until it's real close to the chin rest, and this is the little spring that on the next page I'll hook to this chin rest. Now here I'm pulling the spring and I'm hooking it up to the chin rest T-square, this little T here, and I'm hooking it up on the other side also. You can see it in these two pictures. And now the platform is in place, and the one thing I need to mention is right here at the back, and to make sure this platform that is sitting on this clear plexiglass plate does not move, I put a strip of shipping tape, clear shipping tape, right across the back end here, so it will not move at all on the platform. Now here is a cover that goes on the top of the chin rest to shade the person's eyes from light, and it allows them to be able to see without having light coming into their eyes and causing their pupils to get smaller, making it harder to get a measurement with the autorefractor. Now here's another view of it with the cover on top of the chin rest and with the platform in front of the chin rest. And this is another view that shows these two clamps that are holding down this bar that the chin rest is attached to. Now here, number 3, you'll see the autorefractor case, which I'm going to open right here. You take out this paper here, and you take the autorefractor out. Now, when you receive the autorefractor, these neck strap may already been removed. If so, you'll find it in the autorefractor case. So here's the steps you take to remove it in case you have to. You pull this little thread up like this, and then you loosen that, and then you remove it, and then you pull this one loose, and then you pull it out. Now both of them are out, as you see here, and I generally stash the the neck strap, I should say, in this area right here of the autorefractor case, so that I'll be sure to have it. Next, I pull out the cable that's going to be connected to the base of the autorefractor, you see here. And here's the autorefractor and the cable and one battery all together. Now this is a cradle that holds the autorefractor so that you can hold it at a distance. And right here is a little push button that pushes the green button that's on the handle of the autorefractor. Now here is a little rubber strap that holds this push button in place that you see right up here in shipment. But you need to remove it and save this little connection here so that the button pusher, which is called a switch bot unit, does not fall out. And this is where you're going to be putting the autorefractor into that hole in front of that little push button. But first, I've got to thread the cable that I just got out of the kit. I got to thread it through this hole right here and move it across, and then I'm going to screw it into the base of the autorefractor. Now, with the autorefractor set aside, I'm going to pull out the box that's labeled Autorefractor Battery Power, and here's what it contains. As you can see here, this is a little battery cover that has a special notch on it so that this cable right here, you see, can come out. Now this is really a fake battery that you're going to put into the handle, turned so that this will come out, this hole here. And this is a little battery holder where you place the battery external to this cradle. And here I'm taking the battery cover off, and here is where I'm going to put the battery, this fake battery in. So here, the battery, I put it in, slide it down like a regular battery, and I put this little foam right here to keep it pushed down so it doesn't slide out of position while you're moving around with the autorefractor. Next, I take the autorefractor and kind of stand it on its head, and I put this battery cover in place, pushing it down until it snaps in place like you see here. The next thing is I'm going to take this autorefractor, put it on top of the cradle, and I thread the cable for the battery through this base right here. And I thread this cable for the autorefractor to be able to see the viewfinder through this hole that you see right here. And there I am threading it, and now you can see it's completely in. This cable is coming out, that's for the battery right there, you see, and that's the cable that's for the autorefractor viewfinder. I take the viewfinder and I move it up like you see here, and it's got to be completely vertical. The next thing I do is open up a box that says apparatus going to the rear of the autorefractor. When I open it up, this is what I'll see right here. I take that out, and this is another view of it, and you can see the little white devices here they call switch bot units, and they're used for pushing the various buttons on the autorefractor, allow you to remotely push them. I take that, turn it this way, and then I'm going to sit it on the back side of the autorefractor, and I want to make sure this little plastic part here is absolutely flush with this viewfinder that's straight up and down. And I stretch this little Velcro strip around here and all the way around the front of the autorefractor, and then I stick it in nice and snug and tight on the opposite side, which is the opposite side you see over here. That's what it looks like. And now if you look at the front of the autorefractor, you'll see that little Velcro strip sitting there on the top, on the front of the autorefractor. Now what I want to do is I want to place it on top of this, what is called the pan zoom device. Before I do it, I look at the bottom and I see these lines. Now this line is kind of a hint as to where this little screw receptacle is, which you have to line up. And you line it up with this screw that you see on the top of the pan zoom device. Before I do that, I'm going to take this camera at the top and I'm going to flip it over so it's on top of the autorefractor. And I've got it in here, and I will screw it in. There's a screw underneath here that you'll see to tighten right in here, to tighten the screw into the base of the autorefractor. Now I put the battery into the battery holder, and then here is the male and female plugs that go together to allow the battery to get into the autorefractor. Now you see I have plugged it together. Now this is the box that has all the different cables and the power supplies in it. If you open up the box, you'll see this. That's the plug strip and a bunch of cables, each doing different things. First thing I do is I plug in the plug strip, and you can see it right here. The next thing I do is I plug in the left, center, and right camera. And this is also a power supply for this little motorized pan zoom unit that the autorefractor cradle is sitting on top of now. Now I plug in the power supply on the right side of the pan zoom device. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in power to the different cameras. First of all, I plug in power for this camera right here, and this is the left power that you see here. And now I'm going to plug in power for the center. This is the center one. Plug that in. And there you see it, it's plugged in. And then I'll plug in power for the right. Plug these two together for the right. And you see all the different connectors are labeled as to where they go. Now if you look at the back of the pan zoom device, you see the proper settings for these switches here. But you also see a remote socket, which is where you put in the remote control device like you see here. But I'm going to put it on an extension cord that gives it up to 25 foot of distance. So there's the end of the extension cord, which I'll then plug in here. There's the pan zoom control, and I'll plug that control into the other end of that 25 foot extension cord. And there you see it's plugged in. Now when I can use this control, I can control the orientation, causing it to look up, look down, swivel left, and swivel right, using these controls right here. Now there's a cable also in that box that you connect to the end of the autorefractor cable to extend it to allow it to reach the 8-foot distance, or more for that matter. So I take it and I plug it in here. There's another cable that says to autorefractor, and it plugs into this little receptacle you see here as shown at this point. Now this is one that says to the center video. That's the video that's right on top of the autorefractor from that assembly that goes on the back of the autorefractor. So I'll take that and I plug it in here. And the white and red cables go to the left and right cameras. So there you see the cable, and you plug them in. You plug this white one into the left camera, and you plug the red one into the right camera. Now here is the quad video splitter box, and that's allowing you to take all these cameras and show them on a single screen. And here's the quad video box. I take it out, and you can see also a little remote control for it, but you don't actually have to use the remote control. You see here are all the buttons that are effectively on this remote control. And there are all sorts of labels here telling you where everything goes. So I take that red and white cable that covers the right and left cameras, and I plug it into the port numbers that are on these labels. Port number 4 and 3. And there you see them plugged in. Now here is the port number 2 cable, which comes from the center camera, and I plug that in. It's port 2 of this right here, this place here, of the quad video splitter. And now you can see it's plugged in. And here is port number 1 cable, and you plug it into port number 1 of this quad video splitter, as you see here. And then there's a monitor out pointed to here. Use this cable labeled monitor out, and you plug it into the monitor out. And that's going to go into the little video display I'll show later. Now this is the video display box, and it shows all the contents in that video display box. This is the power supply, a little piece of foam that protects the display against being broken. Take that foam out, and you see the display. Take the display out, and you see this along with the power supply and the remote control for the video display there. Now this is a cable which you can use or not, but it allows you to provide power to the video display from a USB port that's available on the back of the laptop. Just plug one side into the back of the laptop, as you see here, and the other side into the left side of the video display. There's the left side of the video display, but in this case I'm going to plug in a separate cable to a transformer supply rather than using this little video cable, little USB cable. Okay, there it is. There's the cable. I've already plugged that in. I'm going to plug in this video cable to here to get the video output. And now you can see the little short video cable right here. Now that monitor out that's coming from the quad video splitter plugs into the yellow receptacle here. The other two have shrink wrap on them, so you don't use them. You don't need them. Now you see the video display. I placed it on top of the quad video splitter. Now there is a little button on the left hand side that's used for power on and off. On the right hand side you'll see a little button having to do with which one of the ports are going to be used. What you should have, you may not have to press this button at all, but if you do find that you press it, you should see an AV1 in this area, and if it shows, then you know you have the right video port on this monitor selected. Okay, now when I power up the monitor by pressing this button, as you see here, this is what you see. Nothing coming from the autorefractor yet, but this is the top video, which is looking straight into the forehead of the patient. This is the left video, which is looking from the left side of the person's head, and this is the right video looking from the right side. So you have three different views of the front of the person's head. Now this is the SwitchBot unit, and I have a separate video that tells you how to set up the SwitchBot unit on either your Android or your iPhone. Now if I press the button right here, labeled Power, you'll see Retinomax 3 appear. The next thing you need to do is, this is a remote pull cable, It's a steel cable that is used to pull the platform left and right. What I'll do is I'll undo these Velcro strips and leave them loose, and I will take the left hand side of this pull cable and I'm going to tie it to the left couple on the pull cable, tie this rope from the left side of the platform to the left cable, like you see here. I use a square knot. Then I'm going to tie the right side of that bar, that cable out of the right side, to the right side of the platform, like you see here, square knot. And then when I press the power on button, this is what I see. You can see this happening. Now this is the entire wiring of this assembly. It shows a power strip for holding the transformers, and you should probably have your own power strip for the transformers having to do with the laptop, the Dymo printer that's part of the kit, little 7-inch monitor. This is the quad video splitter. Of course, then you'll see the remote control that controls the pan zoom device. That's the autorefractor on the cradle. And this is the top camera that's right up here. You see the left camera on the left side of the chin rest, and then you see the right camera. I hope this has been helpful for you to set up the apparatus and to be able to use it without any difficulty at all. Thank you so much.